All right, welcome back to the third part of One Man's Faith. And again, we're with Cheryl and Lynn, and they are correspondents in the Middle East. And we've been talking about, a whole bunch of different things, in case you just tuned in. But Cheryl, the question I had before break was, can Christianity and Islam mix and combine?
Coexist?
Yeah, well, the term a lot are now starting to use is called Chrislam.
Okay.
What is that?
Well, no, we have two different beliefs. Actually, they believe that Allah is God, and Allah, if you do the history, comes from Mecca. There was 361 gods, I believe, that were worshipped, and Muhammad chose that they should worship one God, just like the Christians and the Jews, so he chose Allah, the moon god. So first of all, it's a moon god. And on top
Allah is a moon god?
Absolutely. On top of the mosque, minarets, you will see the moon, the
right.
half moon.
Yeah, the half moon, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and some of them don't even know this. Some of the Muslims don't understand their own history. But they say Allah has no son. Well, that's very important to Christianity because the Son of God came to save us.
Right.
God sent his only begotten Son.
Right.
That whoever believes in him would not perish but have everlasting life. That is an important point.
Yeah.
They do not believe that. So how can we coexist with someone that doesn't believe that? Then you have Sharia law. The Muslim law, that's what Sharia is. Muslim laws were quite different from ours. They can marry 1 to 5 women. And the women, if she does not go along with what her husband wants, if she, what do you call it? Anyways, they can ban her to the couch and beat her. So it's not a peaceful religion. If a woman's walking down the street, they wear that burqa to make them look square, so that the woman does not turn the guy on, okay? So they're square. But if one piece of her hair is out, any man on the street can beat her. It's a very violent religion.
Doesn't sound very fair.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't at all. And but it's a very violent religion, and I've been told that by Muslims. Muslims are afraid sometimes of their own leadership. And one guy I work with, he said, you know what they do at night? If you don't go along with the leadership, or if you say something against them and somebody's heard you, they'll come into your house, into the bedroom, and they'll shoot the man in the legs 3 times. And that's a warning that if you keep it up, you'll be dead. And that is in a village in Israel proper. And I don't think Israel knows about that one. But they govern their own Islamic villages, and they govern it in the way they want. Now, speaking of Christianity, is very tolerant of many things, which maybe we shouldn't be. But one thing they do with gay people, I asked a Palestinian, what do you do? He said, we take them to the highest point, whether it be a mountain or a building, and we drop them off. They don't tolerate it. They kill them. If you steal something, they cut off a finger if it's something small, a hand, an arm. You know, there's so many different ways that they punish the people. But you have to go along with what they want, and you live under almost a dictatorship. As a matter of fact, Abbas is the Prime Minister or Palestinian Authority leader. Okay, it was an election that they had, but he's been in office for 12 years without an election. So they dictate their people. They tell them what they want, what to do, and then again they use the poor people.
Okay. Now, supposedly, we, I guess the world or whatever, is trying to work toward peace in the Middle East between, especially the Arabs and the Israelis. It doesn't sound like, from what you're saying, that's possible.
No, most people think it's not. I did a survey actually in the old city of Jerusalem. I asked Jews, Christians, and Muslims, what do you think praying for the peace of Jerusalem means? You know, and they each one said we're praying for the Messiah to return. Or come. So the Muslims believe there's a 12th Imam, which is their Messiah, and they can usher him in with a war. They can usher him in, so he's coming soon. And the Jews believe that the Messiah is coming, and we believe that he's coming back.
Right.
So we all believe the same thing. We don't see a real peace in the Middle East, maybe a cold peace, maybe, you know, they're talking about in the Bible, of course, about that 3 years, you know, there's going to be peace. I see something like that maybe could happen, but it won't last. Because even today, what they did at the Western Wall, the Muslims are controlling the Temple Mount. But it's Israel's property, but the Muslims are controlling it. And the Jews were down below praying at the Western Wall. And they were throwing rocks on the Jewish women. And one 70-year-old woman got hurt and went to the hospital. There is no peace. And I asked one guy, I was interviewing him on a radio program, and I said, what will it take for the Palestinians to give the Jews peace here in the Holy Land? He said, they must leave. I said, that's it? There's no other? He said, no, that's it.
Wow.
And so a lot of the Muslim countries, what they're doing is they're feeding weapons and money to the Palestinian people, using them to fight against the Jews, take more land, try to get back to the 67 borders. We're already in trouble, as far as we can be hit. And it was just in the media that what they believe is that the Lebanon, the Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas are probably going to be firing at the same time rockets and missiles into Israel. And Israel's preparing for that scenario. But the outside Muslim world are using them to get rid of the Jewish people. They're the only democracy in the Middle East. They're right there in the backyard of all the Muslim people, and they want them out. So
really, the goal of the Muslim or even Islam is not peace.
not unless it's a house of war or a house of Islam. There's two sayings in Arabic. Dar el Harab, I tried to memorize, I can't. But anyways, house of war or house of Islam. So you can live, you're an infidel because you're not a Muslim,
right.
So am I, but you can live, so is he, you can live as long as you pay a dhimmi tax. And it's up to them to say who can be the dhimmis. Dummies, no, dhimmis. Dhimmi tax is where you pay to keep yourself alive. So you pay the money to stay alive, pretty much. And then when you run out of money, what happens? You don't have any money to pay them, so you're dead. So infidels are worthy of death. Okay. And so that's what they're doing throughout the world. This caliphate is to run, the caliph is the head of ISIS, of course, and the caliphate is to run this caliphate all across the entire world. And the same situation, as I just said, infidels do not deserve to live, or the people of the book, which are the Christians and the Jews, can live as dhimmis and pay a tax. So yeah, they want to win the world for Allah. That's in the Quran. And that's been their goal from day one. They said it doesn't matter how many generations it takes. We'll do it by demographics. We'll do it by getting people into office. We'll do it by military ways. We're going to win the world for Allah.
Yeah. Well, what I was just reading, that there's some concern. Well, you know, Britain has now voted to leave, but part of that, I got the indication that it's because Britain has moved. How do I say that without nicely? It looks like Islam is taking over Britain. Matter of fact, London even just elected a Muslim mayor.
Right.
So, what? Is that part of the goal to kind of, I mean, is that a way of kind of taking over? Well,
the Muslims, yeah, that is a part of their whole plan, is to come and invade other countries with Islam, with Sharia law, Sharia zones. I mean, if I were fleeing a war in America, where would I go? I would go to the people that speak my language, that believe the same way I do. I would go to Canada. I'd go to Hawaii first, really. If
yeah, that's an idea.
But I would go to a place that has the same beliefs as I do in the language. But what they're doing is they're sending people out to Europe, to America. They've been doing this for years. And what they're wanting to do is have Sharia law in those countries. Now, if they wanted to come and live as Americans, they'd live under the American laws, right? But what they're doing is they're having zones. And there's a sign that says Sharia zone. And if you cross that, be careful. If you're drinking water on Ramadan, you fast 30 days. And if you're drinking water, you will get beat up. So you better know.
In America?
In America, in London, and wherever you're at, it's a Sharia zone. They are run by their own laws. So these Muslims are taking over in certain parts of Michigan and London and different neighborhoods, and they say, just let us have our own Sharia law in our zones. And the police, I was told in London when I was speaking over there, that they did not want to go in there and stop them from doing their Friday prayers. They block all the streets, and they're getting away with a lot of stuff we can't, going against the laws. But the police were too afraid to go in. They said they're going to have riots, they'll burn tires, they'll burn stores. But what's going to happen in 10 years from now? Each Muslim is allowed to marry 5 wives, each man. They have between 10 and 15 children. You know, that's at least 50 children for one man. They are going to multiply like crazy. They're going to keep doing this. More are coming over. They're going to get voting power. They're becoming mayors. What's going on is we're losing control of our own democracies. They don't like democracy, as you can see. You know, around the world, as we're trying to impose democracy, the other people, the terrorists, what they call terrorists, are coming in and saying, no, we're taking it away. They want to live the way they've lived for generations, and they want us to live as they live, not under democracy. They want to take control and have Sharia law in all of the world.
You'll see that that they're not integrating.
No.
They're isolating. And it is an act of war. They're coming in, they're invading, and they're staying isolated for now. But as they expand, they push out. Right now in America, they're pushing their zones out.
And plus they're all over, different places in America, little hometowns, you know. I met some people traveling through on speaking tours, and I couldn't believe it. This woman said, my mama, she became Muslim. And I said, what? This is down in the South. And this lady, elderly lady, wearing a burqa in this little southern town, and this doctor had moved in about 20 years ago and just started telling all of them about how peaceful Islam is, and everybody should. They're changing people in different places and making them believe other things than what they're up to.
Wow. This is interesting.
And controversial.
And yeah, it is because you know, we keep hearing, Islam is peaceful. It's not out to do harm to anybody. They just want to kind of, you know, they want to coexist, and it doesn't sound like that's what's happening. But is it possible that what's happening? Well, I guess the question is, do we or should we actually believe that that is coming to us, or is that just something that's happening over there?
No, it's here. It's here in America. As a matter of fact, they've caught Hezbollah, ISIS members coming into the Mexican border. So it's not just the Spanish people crossing and people that just want a better life. It's people that are going to be causing harm in America. And so, yeah, it's here. It's coming here. Saudi Arabia sent 20,000 students one year to our universities to teach our kids about Islam and how peaceful, and then they speak against Israel, which is a whole generation of kids is coming up. They're going to be taking over leadership, and they're going to have completely different ideas than our generation. It's a scary thing that's going on, and we should be really diligent about us. And I'm not telling people to be afraid of Muslims, because I love the Muslim people. I work with them. They're my friends. And not to hate them, not to be afraid, but to love them. Love them into the kingdom if you possibly can, because if you lead one guy I led to the Lord, now he's got 24 people. Okay,
we got to take a break. But let's come. I definitely want to come back to that. So let's go ahead. We'll take this is our last break. Thank goodness, at least for today, and we'll be right back.